Hello, welcome back to Mining Network. We're at Beaver Creek and I'm joined by Sean Hayworth, the CEO over at Excellon Resources. Sean, good to see you.
Yeah, pleasure meeting you and thank you for inviting me to this. This is fantastic.
No problem. I just wanted to just really kick things off, just really quick intro into the company, where you're listed, where the assets are, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. Excellon is listed on the TSX and we have a NYSE listing as well. $15 million market capitalization at current prices, 3 primary assets, one in Idaho, that's the Kilgore project, the Potosa mine in Mexico, and Silver City project in Saxony, Germany as well.
Awesome. Okay, so I do want to break into, the way I want to do this is really go into
the details
Mexico,
of,
Idaho, and
sure.
Saxony. But before we do that, you released a press release yesterday, corporate update.
Yeah.
And within the corporate update, you said the company is now at an inflection point, and really you need to capitalize on new opportunities that are going to add additional value. And I just wanted to, what's your vision of that? What are these new opportunities in your mind that really are going to take this company from where it is now to where you want to be?
I think that's a great question, Peter. And the key here is that we're going to be opportunistic. So there's really what I see as 3 core pieces of value to this company. The first is exploration at Kilgore. Kilgore is a fantastic exploration project. We're in the middle of a 5,000-meter drill program to continue to understand the mineralization, both the high-grade sections of the deposit as it stands, plus some of the step-out drilling to further understand how we can expand mineralization. I think the second piece is we have a strong workforce and a strong operating history, rich operating history within the Potosa mine in Mexico, and looking at ways that we can apply our experiences, our collective institutional knowledge around operational expertise onto new projects with a focus in Mexico, but also looking beyond into the Americas as well. And that's critical to be able to show that this is a team that's capable of delivering on new projects and new opportunities. That's largely going to come through external M&A. And the third piece is looking at ways to capitalize on value on new assets within our portfolio, efficient ways to get capital into those projects and into the ground. And I think Silver City is a really good candidate for that, and that's why we're contemplating a spin-out of the project. It's a fantastic early exploration project in a very prolific history mining, and I think when we look at where that capital could best serve, it's in an unencumbered vehicle, new exploration project, newly marketed, and will be very exciting for sure.
Awesome. No, I think that does make sense. So let's actually run through the assets. So you're obviously in Mexico at the moment, you're in the process of winding down that asset at the moment, right? So where's the opportunity there? Obviously, you're talking about your operational expertise and M&A, and I think I read in the press release that you're potentially looking to JV that license because there should be potentially some exploration upside there. So that almost turns from a producer to an exploration company within the next year. Is that right?
That's right. So that's a good question. And what I'll do is I'll separate. We have Potosa as the operating mine that's been in operation since 2005, and we're largely winding that down. We're in the last month of production. Through October, we'll continue that through care and maintenance and ensure a proper and responsible wind down. We also have the Miguel Auza mill about 250 kilometers south of the mine, and lockstep with that, we'll also look to manage a controlled shutdown of that mill. The focus for Potosa will go into a lot more on the exploration side, both at depth. There's continued mineralization. It's just not economic given where the mineralization is currently at depth and the dewatering rates that are required and the capital required to get down there. But it's a CRD deposit on the CRD superhighway of Mexico, and there's a lot of belief that we can continue to find alternate Potosas along strike. So looking at a broader regional program, starting with geophysics, targeted drilling, and bringing in a senior capital provider to support that would be a good way to show further value at Potosa. But I would look at that and contemplate it as its own standalone exploration project. There's no longer that tie to the mill as well.
Okay, I just want to touch on the mill because obviously with a mill there already. Is there anyone else in the region that might potentially benefit from some extra capacity going through your mill? Is there any way to profit from that? Or
yeah, no, I mean that's a good question. So that's discussions we've had in the past, entertained with them, and various ideas. There are projects nearby that potentially could use the mill. So to our knowledge, right now, there's no active discussions going on with that. So challenging to see. But I think the first step is as we go through the wind down, that will be the next logical is to see what is the next opportunities for that mill.
Awesome. Okay, so largely that will turn into a regional exploration play. and then over in Idaho, you do have a development asset at the moment.
Yeah.
I think at the moment, when the PEA was out, it was around 750,000 recoverable ounces. Obviously, from what I've seen, you've been doing drilling this year. You're waiting for assays to come back, from my understanding.
Yeah.
How much? Let's run through the drill program. And obviously, it sounds like you want to extend this and sort of grow this into a bigger beast. What's the exploration strategy, and what's the strategy around actually trying to develop this project?
Yeah, I think Kilgore is exciting. Since we acquired that in 2020, we spent the last 2 years getting to the point where we can start to drill now. So the exploration permits are in. We're fully permitted for exploration, and the focus historically has been very much on the top-down, define the deposit. What would that look like envisaged as an open pit operation? And a lot of the drilling had been done, I'd say, at wider intervals and wider assays. Now what we're looking and saying, there's an opportunity. We've reconstituted the entire database into Leapfrog, and we're working with our engineers or with our geologists to better understand where the high-grade sections are and focus on the structure around those sections to say, is there potential to rethink how some of this mineralization is contoured within the deposit as it stands? So that's number one. It's a lot of great control on managing what that drilling would look like. The second is looking at extensions, particularly into the aspen, to the sediment package at depth, and saying, if mineralization is widely disseminated, is there further mineralization down dip? So we'll do further drilling into those areas. Right now, drilling is down to about 340 meters, so continuing that will be exciting. And then the step-out drilling to say, are there other targets? And so that work is going on right now. That's through a 5,000-meter targeted drill program for this year. We're about a third of the way through that right now. And assays are going to start to come in the next, I'd say, next few weeks. So I think there'll be some exciting news flow for the months to come. And in tandem to that, we're doing a 75 line kilometer geophysics surveying on the property to better understand from a surface perspective where are the opportunities to go out and further explore. A lot of the Kilgore deposit is covered with overburden, so the ability to have a proper soil sampling and geophysics surface program is critical to find those next targets, and that work's being done now as well.
Okay. I just want to get my head around the geology of this deposit. I think is it epithermal gold deposit?
Yeah, that's right. It's a sediment mafic volcanic epithermal hosted deposit. That's right.
Okay. And how much drilling has been done to get it to, prior to what you've done this year?
Yeah.
How much work has been done on this to get it to where it is?
I think historically around 29,000 meters have been drilled to date. So.
Okay. And I guess with the exploration program that you have going on at the moment, I think you mentioned and did touch on this quite a bit there anyway, but how targeted was that, and what sort of, I know you can't say exactly, but I mean, what sort of, for a good drill campaign, I guess you're looking to add ounces, right?
Yeah.
What would be good in your head?
Well, I think the 5,000 meters we're drilling now is very strategic to this deposit to start. So I think a lot of the drilling we look at is twinning existing holes and understanding what is our geologic interpretation of the ore body to start. So,
yep.
So some of that will come out with, can this be re-imaged as, focusing on one particular area of the deposit? Is there the potential to look at this as pivoting as an underground deposit as well? So a lot of that work is going to come out and should have a positive understanding, or at least significantly advance our thinking. It's difficult to say on the step-out drilling how much. It all depends on where those drill results come from. I think also what this does is as we continue through this program, is stage gates what will be that next amount of drilling. So where's the most impact and where's the most value? And I'll reiterate again that the last 2 years we've been focusing on getting to this point, so we're really excited to be here. I think this is really only the beginning then, where we're going to continue with exploration on this project.
So obviously towards the end of these videos, I usually sort of run through a timeline of the next 12 months. But I just want, just while we're on this asset, obviously you've got the assays coming out over the next couple of months. Assays come back, they look good. You've got a better understanding geologically of this deposit. What does next year look like with this one? What do you then need to go and do? And
Well, I think what's key here is two pieces. Number one, we've got to look and see what the geophysics tell us and if there's other potential anomalies that we can start to target. So that will define what the regional program is as well. And when we get the drilling back from, I would say the near or the twinning or the reconstitution drilling, the reconfirming of the existing grade and the existing resources, a lot of that will better understand what does that resource or what does that deposit look like from a mining perspective perspective later. So I think very much it's going to be tailored according to what those results come back from. So it's a little bit early to tell exactly what it'll look like, but I think we're excited nonetheless.
Good. Okay. And then this is the bit I'm really excited about, because it's Saxony. A spin out. How might this look, and what's the thinking behind it?
Yeah. So first on the spin out, I think Excellon optioned the silver, the Saxony silver project from Globex. And from that basis, we're saying, okay, what is the most effective way to allocate capital into the project? Is it through the Excellon corporate structure, or is it through a newly unencumbered exploration vehicle? First mover into Saxony, Germany, in a historically prolific mining region with over 800 years of experience mining. And we look at that and say we've amassed a significant land package there through the existing Globex option, but we've also expanded our mineralization around that. And drilled 12,000 meters over the last 2 years. That drilling has come back with some significant results, 1,000 grams per ton silver equivalent, over 1.1 meters. Typically it's about half a meter up to about a meter, meter and a half, but some significant high-grade opportunities to follow up on. The next step would really be looking again as a regional program. What does that geophysics look like? And also saying, what does the exploration look like from a drilling perspective as well? And I think from our shareholders' perspective, it's exciting because they're getting a first mover into an entirely new region, but historic from an exploration perspective or from an operations perspective, and generally a supportive mining infrastructure with a single voice and with one common goal of advancing projects. The community is supportive of this, and we continue to be engaged on a regular basis with them to explain what we're doing.
And in terms, I'm just trying to get my head around, so these veiny deposits that you're looking at in Saxony, and can you just run us through, so you're talking about the grades there, sort of around 1 meter in width. So what the previous drilling that you've done, what was sort of hit rate and success rate in terms of the drilling that has been done to date? And I guess what does the exploration model look like moving forward, and how confident are you in the targets that you're going to be?
So this is an epithermal deposit, not dissimilar to what we've seen at Kilgore as well. I'd say the package is slightly different, the structure is a little bit different, but overall we've been highly successful and overwhelming, hitting the mineralization to where we target with our drilling. So we're confident on where we know where the mineralization is. I think what we need to test is where widths could be expanded, and opportunities to find where structure and where there's folds or formations that allow us to drill out to larger intervals as well.
Okay. And so obviously it was previously around 800 years of mining history here.
Yeah.
When did all of that stop? And I guess what drove you back to this region in particular?
Well, I think it's an exciting opportunity because, number one, we have a partnership with the University of Freiburg that's done a lot of work into that area. And so there's a lot of institutional knowledge that allowed us to step in and say we can be the partner with the university, with academics within the area that are really looking to revive or reconstitute a mining program within Germany or within Saxony, Germany. So there's been, a very positive response to the work that we've done and when we've come in. And I think the next steps is fulfilling on, on our views that this could be, a next great area, district scale potential, as we quoted in the press release on exploration. And so that means putting capital in the ground and getting the drills turning again. Yeah.
Okay. And what's the ownership of the assets or the licenses you own there? You mentioned Globex, and obviously the first thing in my mind is,
that's right.
Have they still got a percentage, or have they just taken a royalty on the assets? Or?
Yeah, I think would say effectively we'll earn into 100%, and the final payments are to come over the next couple of weeks. So,
awesome. Okay. Yeah. And then looking at the spin out, I think I did read on the press release that it would be another public company.
Yeah.
Obviously, with it being Germany focused, I assume it might be potentially. I don't know, have you thought about listing where it might be? Or?
We have some considerations. I'll caveat saying it's still very highly conditional and subject to markets and where valuations come from. But I think that, if you look at the world and the various exchanges, there's a strong institutional appetite for exploration stories in Germany, in Austria. A Frankfurt listing probably makes some sense, but that's being explored. Tandem with a TSX venture listing or another listing in Toronto to access some of the institutional markets here as well would be interesting. It's all caveated on being able to actually, let's see where the markets are. We'll continue to explore it. We don't have a clear indication yet. These are just some of the options that we're looking at out of many options for sure.
But I guess the way that your corporate structure is going to look now, though, is obviously with Excellon, with the spin out, you'll have the Mexican and the USA asset in Idaho. Sort of under Excellon's banner, and then you'll have under this new spin out, obviously the Saxony assets. The money that you raise from the spin out will go into the Saxony assets, and then what's the current capital structure in terms of Excellon? And I assume the money that's in the kitty at the moment and anything future that you do with Excellon will then go towards these two other assets, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. And so some of it comes down to what is the consideration. Our focus will be is consideration 100% to current Excellon shareholders at the time, so they'll get that value in a private vehicle, a private spinco, and at such date that we decide that the markets are accepting and we believe that there's a strategy, we put that into an IPO as well. So Excellon shareholders will take that. It's clear we're not selling the project, we're not looking for a buyer to come in, but what we would do is look to bring in new capital to continue to advance the project and subject to exchange and listing and approvals and everything else that's required alongside that. But what I would expect is that while not finalized, I'd expect that Excellon shareholders as they stand today would hold a piece of Excellon. They would also hold a piece of Silver City as a standalone vehicle and a standalone entity, freely traded. That's correct.
Okay, awesome. And just remind everyone of the capital structure of Excellon at the moment. How many shares outstanding, how much cash in the bank?
Yeah,
any
sure.
Debt,
Sure. About 34 million shares outstanding. About 2.9 million, I believe, as of June 30th, cash in the bank, and 17 million Canadian in convertible debentures outstanding as well.
Okay. And the idea would be the money in the bank at the moment, that should in theory then go towards Mexican and USA assets, and then the money that you generate through the IPO will then go towards this big regional exploration or exploration program in Saxony. Is that the sort of future outlook?
I think that's about accurate, subject to timing. Of course, we're looking at this saying that Saxony, we're targeting sometime early next year, H1 2023, to be able to deliver on the spinout. So subject to that, there's no final decision. There's been no decision on what that spinout looks like yet. Simply that we've announced it, and that's what we're reviewing. So for sure.
No, I think it's a really good idea personally, because then I think you can then have that focus on Saxony, and it is an exciting regional play. So why not?
Well, we think that there's a market there to attract into, something that's entirely different type of district exploration. We've seen a lot, of course, in the Americas, but there's not been as much in this context of a European focus on silver, especially. So I think it's pretty exciting and could be, well received in the markets at the time that we decide to transact.
Yeah. I guess just to finish things off, I mean, we've already touched on most of the future outlook. Obviously, you've got the essays coming up, you've got the potential spin out, but just as a summary, what should we be looking out for over the next year?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting time. So it's critical to us is continuing the news flow with Kilgore, getting those exploration results in, compiling them, putting them in our database, and deciding what that next step is as far as how we're going to continue with exploration there. I think what's exciting as well as the wind down with Platosa continues, we'll aggressively pursue other opportunities to grow a footprint, to leverage the institutional knowledge within our company, within the operating experience over the last 15 plus years since 2005 when Platosa was put into production. And I think you also can expect to see the further news, obviously, in the spin out and where that's going to go over the next 6 months.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll keep up to date. Sean, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate having me here.
Cheers.